I have never spoken to the Minister about the PKTT budget. All discussions concerning the allocation of funds to the PKTT are solely between myself and the National Commissioner as the accounting officer. The typical process, as I had indicated, is that the project leader would then apply for an extension of funding as well and submit this request. The submission will then go through various levels of approval, eventually ending up with the National Commissioner. I usually have these conversations with the National Commissioner during this process. We regularly discuss matters with all teams, including matters that pertains to intervention task teams as well as the PKTT. These are routine conversations between myself and the National Commissioner. My role then is to confirm whether there is funding. If there is no funding, we then have a conversation with the National Commissioner in terms of determining priorities or reprioritizing to ensure that we support this. These are the conversations that I have only with the National Commissioner.
So these are conversations, as you say, that you have with the National Commissioner as the accounting officer in relation to how you allocate the budget, and that there were never conversations that were either that you had with the minister or that were ever raised with the minister in relation to how you're allocating the budget, how these task teams are essentially impacting the overall SAPS budget framework.
The presentation for 2025 in terms of the apportioning of the allocation, it spoke to the apportioning of the allocation to all cost centers, but it did not touch on anything that relates to the PKTT.
Okay. So, can you confirm, how did you learn about the disbandment?
I had gone on leave from the 17th of December last year. That leave ended on the 10th of January 2025. So on the 2nd of January, while I was on leave, I learned of the disbandment. I think I saw something on one of the news outlets. That's how I learned about it. I was on leave.
And
myself and the National Commissioner, when it comes to these interventions, including the resources that are required to support these interventions. When it comes to the PKTT, the request for funding would come to us and we would have those conversations. When it comes to the PKTT, I have had conversations with the National Commissioner to say, my understanding is that a task team is established for a specific period, for a specific reason, and then it is withdrawn. But with the PKTT, we have noted that it is clearly dealing with something that is permanent. So for us, from a budgeting point of view, it becomes challenging when you receive applications almost every 3 months for 5 years. So you are unable to budget properly, you are unable to project properly. It may be necessary that perhaps this becomes a permanent structure to deal with the permanent problem that seemingly exists that they are dealing with. So we have had those conversations. It was my understanding that this particular team was established to deal with the problems in KwaZulu-Natal. I've even made suggestions to say, let us task OD, the OD is our organizational development, to put together a permanent structure, and we give this structure to General Mkwanas in KwaZulu-Natal to deal with this permanent problem, because for 5 years we can continue like this from a budgeting point of view. Now, if it is a permanent structure, then you are able to resource it properly, you are able to budget and plan for it properly so that then you support the team to be able to do its job. So we have had those conversations in this particular regard, myself and the National Commissioner. And the National Commissioner, then during those conversations, obviously, from an operational point of view, knowing that the work of this PKTT has been, the scope has increased. They are no longer only operating in KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, he has got no obligation to explain that to me. He said, perhaps then it should not be local. If it is a permanent structure, it should not be localized in KwaZulu-Natal, and that structure perhaps could be in head office. So those are the conversations that we have. So if it is a national structure, then it will be able to serve all the provinces should there be any political issues that are picked up in other provinces. So for me, from a budgeting point of view, it is an issue that I have raised. However, I raised it in the view that then this team clearly is dealing with something permanent. Let's make it permanent so that then there is proper budgeting, there is proper resource allocation, and there is proper accountability in this regard when it is a permanent team. So I have had those conversations.